Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Newsmakers podcast and videocast series. Today, we want to discuss why homeowners make the purchase decisions and thought who better to talk to than former HVAC contractor and founder and CEO of the New Flat Rate, Rodney Coop. Thanks for joining us, Rodney.
Hey, glad to be here.
Absolutely. I guess starting on this topic, we might as well start by talking about price, right? Because that's kind of on the top of everyone's minds. When homeowners are choosing between contractors, do you feel the price is the number one thing on their minds, or is that more on contractors' minds?
Well, not really, but it depends. There's repair, there's replacement, and a lot of times replacement comes when they find out the repair is going to be too costly. But in all my research, the number one thing on their minds, and let's start with a repair call. They've called a contractor, whatever it is. The number one thing is, will he come? Okay, because they've already got some references from some friends or whatever. The number two thing, say you're going to be there at 8:30. They take off work or change what they're doing. Honey, will you take the kids to school? I'll wait for the guy, right? Yep. And they don't know what to do. They're so far out of their comfort zone. They're walking back and forth, looking at, and you drive up at 8:30, just like you said. Hey, they're thrilled, okay? Because see, now we're getting on with it. They're not even thinking about price. A lot of smarter people than I think that the average person, when they call for a repair, they think it's simple and it'll be, under $100, maybe $200 or $300. There's the cringe, but surely not over 500, right? Mm-hmm. Same research says that they can come up with 1,500 if they have to. Either way, they called you. Chances are they can afford a minor service call. Now, you get there and you greet the customer, then so their level of stress is now lowered because you're there. Oh, good. And in their mind, we're gonna get this done, right? It's like the guy came here and he's putting air in my tire. Okay, I'm going to be able to get back on the road. That is the mentality. Now you go do a thorough diagnostic. You find the problem or problems. You come back to the customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, have you got a minute? Oh, yeah, sure. What'd you find? And then I'm a little concerned because, I found a problem in that whatever it is, kind of like you thought it would be. I've got some options. Would you like to see them? Sure. See, now his stress is about level because, okay, now he's a little, see now, of course, now he's, oh my gosh, now he's going to see the price, right?
Yeah, right.
Now some things are going around in his head. And so then you say, we've got some options. Now, if you show them menus like we do, your top option is going to be expensive because it's using all of my talent, skill, knowledge, wisdom, and experience like I would for my mom. And then all the way down to, just to get by. Here's what we can do to get you up and running today if it's repairable. Now, when you show them the price, okay, the mind is immediately, oh, good. It may be a little more than I thought. Maybe it's 300, maybe it's 700, but yeah, I can handle that. Okay.
It's not as bad as their worst case scenario, right?
Right.
Yeah. Or hopefully it's not.
This is what I don't think almost anybody sees is that even at that place, okay, $700. Ooh, that's more than I want. But the balance over here is, can I swing it? Is the value there? Does it, okay, yeah, that seems high, but yeah. And in their mind, if I've got the money, if I can come up with it, if I can give a credit card, whatever, in their mind is, I can get past this. And they start seeing themselves back at the office or wherever they should have been. This is the psychology that nobody ever talks about, is that it's not about price. It's not about all these other things. It's about, can I make it through this and get back to the office in a timely manner? And then if I can find a way to pay for it, fine. If the price,
makes sense, kind of checking that box, right? And their things to do list. So it's interesting when you're going for a repair and now, okay, we're in the replace. Is that when you start talking about, because you talk about price, obviously, start talking about how much it's going to save you every month as far as, utility costs? Or is that something you kind of stay away from when you're looking more towards, hey, this is the comfort level and we never know when this is going to break again?
When I got into the industry, I bought an HVAC company. I was electrical contractor. In 1995, I bought an HVAC company, and they were going from 10 SEER to 12 SEER. We were told that it would save 20%, right?
Right.
why wouldn't we as contractors, why wouldn't I believe that? Because I was new to the industry. I go to the big dealer meetings, and I go hang out with the big dealers, and they're, oh, it's gonna save 20%. Well, we muddled through that, but back then it was still cheap. It was still 35 to 4,500 would get you a pretty nice system. But as we've moved up, that tolerance has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. I don't believe you can put in a system that'll pay for itself now. So we can't be selling on efficiency. We don't so much sell on efficiency, or the people that do, it's more of a green thing. Oh, you know, this thing that uses very little energy, so it's good for anything and everybody. The customer also hopes it'll last a long time. I started writing an article this morning on longevity of equipment, and I had to laugh because, you know, I actually remember selling a unit to a lady who had been retired for a couple of years. She had had a good job, a good corporate job, but she's trying to stretch her money, and I'm showing her this system, and how long will it last? You know, I want this to last all through my retirement. Well, I didn't know any better. I mean, I thought, if you buy this great system, buy this great company, right?
Yeah.
And if we install it right, I remembered my parents had an air conditioner lasted 30 years back
Yeah.
in the day, right?
It was a different time. Yeah.
Well, my son has that company now, and it's been about 12 or 13 years since I sold her that. I didn't make any promises, you know, but I thought it was good. Anyway, and he told me the other day, he said, hey, Miss So-and-so is going to need a new unit. And I'm like, oh, no.
You remembered, huh? That's funny.
And a lot of contractors be like, oh, hooray, we're going to make, no, I think they should get 20 years out of it. That's, you know, and the price today, oh my gosh.
Is this where you bring in warranty then? Is that kind of where maybe a contractor can differentiate themselves? Obviously, manufacturers have their, you know, parts warranty. What a lot of consumers don't understand is, you know, when does the labor part, you know, at some point it doesn't get covered. But is that a place where contractors can differentiate themselves a little bit, or is it all kind of 6 in one, half dozen in the other?
Our industry sells on price and hype. This may not be popular, but they sell on price and hype. And the hype can be anything, okay? My son just bought an RV last week in Michigan and brought it down here and paid 6 figures for it, and I just cringed. It's his first big camper. Now, I paid a lot more than that for mine, but I've been in this for 30 years with RVs and stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he was telling me all the things the dealership was going to do for him after he left. And he paid $8,000 for a 5-year warranty on a fifth wheel on a camper. Doesn't have a motor, doesn't have a transmission, doesn't have anything that does go wrong. You would have to take it back to the dealer and leave it there for 3 months. So I told him, I said, listen, I said, you'll never take it back. You can't stand working with those people. So call them. You got 45 days to get your 8,000 back on the extended. So get it back. Now I paid 8,000 for a warranty on mine, which is a big diesel with an Allison transmission. So yeah, $50,000 motor. I don't mind paying 8,000 for a little protection. Having said that, if I'm going to sell you a heating and air system, am I the one to tell you, hey, this is going to include a 10-year parts and labor warranty? Now, if I'm adding a bunch of money to it for that, well, you could probably buy it less without that. Mm-hmm. I said all that to say this, okay? We are modeled after we've been taught by wholesalers, the entire industry, the manufacturers through the distributors, all the training comes down, and it's all about teaching us what benefits the people supplying us. None of it is from a customer point of view. They all think it is, but it's not. And I'm not popular about saying these things, but here's what retail does. You go in and look at your Ford or a Chevy or a motorhome or whatever. You negotiate, you get the best deal. You do your research and you trust. Yes, this is what I want. I'm happy with this Ford Fusion for $29,000. Then you sit down at the closing table. They will now give you a menu of options. This has become, I will tell you that for years, the most profitable part of a auto dealership was the service department by far. And the ideal for a Ford dealer, his goal was to pay the entire overhead of the store in the service department. See, that way, when you come in to trade your Chevy pickup for a Ford pickup, we can get you into the Ford family without having to fight a whole bunch of overhead. We can really compete on price, get you into the Ford family, keep you here for the rest of your life. That's what it's all about. And then the F&I, the finance and insurance department, was the second most profitable until they discovered the menu. Now, if you go in there, Mr. Cope, here it is, your payment. With all of this, which is, free towing, practically free DoorDash, free Uber. I mean, throw everything in there.
Right.
And it's like $1,400 a month. And you're like, well, that's absolutely crazy. I can't afford $1,400 a month. So then they go to the next one, which is $500, to the next one. And then if you say, well, what's just my payment, nothing else, that's $250. Okay, I'll take that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've sat through this a few times in my past, and every time I say, does anybody ever take the top one? And they always say, well, you'd be surprised. Now, I know from having done menu pricing now for 13 years, I know 20% take the top. Well, 15 to 20 will take the top, 20 to 25 the bottom, everybody else in the middle. So if you're offering somebody heating and air equipment or plumbing equipment, whatever it might be, you have to have a price that appears very reasonable. So you've got to have a low price. Strip out all the junk that they probably can't afford and have a low price option, because that's the number they compare with the competitors. And with Aunt Susie, who says, well, we just got a whole system for $7,500. See, you know that number, it never leaves their mind.
Right.
So you have to have your lowest price option. Only 20 to 25% of people will take it. So there's no risk there. If you compare it to your closing risk of, let's just say a good salesman is closing 50%, that's nice way to say it. But you can increase your closing ratio, and a few of them take that bottom option. It's a total win-win, because if you don't get this sale, they go shopping, you'll probably never do business with them again. So what does the retail industry do? They put that automobile out there, or that RV or whatever, and they've got all different kinds. So they've got the low priced ones. Okay. Even in the model you have, they still have the basic ones. But when you buy it, then you have that good feeling. Oh, you see yourself camping, or you see yourself driving off into the sunset. You feel good. You sit down in the F&I office, and he's your best buddy, right? And then he's working on your payments and all this, and he's complimenting, telling you what a great car it is. But then he shows you the options, like, who invented this gap insurance thing? And why aren't we selling it, by the way? Okay.
Right.
Anyway, so then he offers you the extended warranties, and there's different types. There's the most expensive one, but if you don't take that, they keep coming down. But here's what I'm saying. The retail industry is backwards from us. We go to the sales meeting, the sales training, no matter who it's by, we go to and what do? We come out. I went to a sales class in Florida one time. There was probably 60 people in there. And at the end of the day, everybody in there was convinced, and this was 20 years ago, that they were going to go out and sell something for $20,000 right now. I'll tell you what, if I go out there, I guarantee you they're paying $20,000. And you still hear that today on Facebook and stuff. Do you want a salesman to come to your house with that attitude? No. Right. You want somebody to come and say, oh my gosh, Kyle, this is really a great piece of equipment. Do you know that's one of the workhorses of the carrier industry, that they last longer than just about anything else? Well, I don't even know why you're thinking about getting rid of it. That's what they do when you come in with your car. Gee, Mr. Cope, this is one of the finest SUVs GMC ever made. I'm surprised you even want to trade it in. You know, they compliment you on your past decisions, and then they show you the new stuff.
So that's an interesting point, Rodney. You kind of brings through. So I was curious if you're talking about brands at that point, right? So for HVAC contractors, what are they selling? Are they selling themselves, the ABC contracting brand, or they're selling the Carrier or the Train or Daikin, whatever brand they're selling? What do you think homeowners are more interested in?
Homeowners only care about what you tell them to care about.
Okay.
In 1999, I took on a new brand that was a household name, and I thought, oh boy, now I got a call to go on a sales call, and I wasn't, you know, I'm an electrician, so I wasn't good at this stuff anyway. So I go out there and I got the brochures, and the guy says, I would never buy that brand in my life. You know, you can just pick up your stuff and go. Well, he'd had a bad experience.
Sure.
And not with their air conditioning, with their washing machine.
Yeah. Not my fault.
But it was my mistake. So that was 1999. I never mentioned brand again.
Okay.
Virtually never. The only time I would mention brand is if there was a real, like, for example, back in the day, and we're talking in the late 90s again, you know, we were with a certain brand. Everybody in the Northwest Georgia sold the same brand. Somebody called for a quote, they'd get 6 quotes on that. So if I'd get the call, and especially if it was gas heat, I would say, you know, okay, yeah, we'll be. Anyway, I would go out there and I would talk to them, do my research, and then I would go through my pitch book on the major brand that I represented, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get about halfway through, and then I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I can't believe it. I did it again. I'm so sorry. And they'd be like, what? I said, I can't believe I'm talking about this, because this is gas, isn't it? It's gassy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me show you this. And I turned to the back of the book where I had a Manna. And a Manna had a stainless steel tubular heat exchanger. And at that time, nobody else did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, oh my gosh, it's gas. Look at this. This is a 409 or whatever stainless steel heat tube. I says, I don't know why everybody doesn't have a stainless steel, but nobody does. I'd say, I am so sorry, but I'd say, here's the good news. Right now, you're able to get the Amana product for the same price as that other brand.
So now you've differentiated yourself, right?
And got top dollar for my second brand.
That's great.
Now, well, we don't have a lot of gas heat around here, but every time it was gas, that's what I did.
Gotcha. Right.
And then one other time, the dealer rep came into my office and wanted me to take on an appliance brand, and well, Frigidaire, which is a good name. And here's what he said. Look at that. He said, it's appliance grade cabinetry. He said, look, it's just like a Lexus. You could roll a marble down the side. I said, oh, really? So I do the same thing. I'd show people my main brand, and oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
About this, and then I would say, look at this. It's appliance grade cabinetry. Look at those smooth.
There you go. That's a tool.
People care. All I needed was one thing that was so far out of the box that I could just make it the whole thing about that. And then here's the bad part. Our Frigidaire dealer, their forklift driver bent every darn one of those. Every one that came in, we had to unpackage it at the shop, straighten it all up, rebox it.
Send it back out, huh? That's funny.
Okay. There's a lot more about sales, but
No, Rodney, I really appreciate all the information, but I did want, and it's great stuff and good for our listeners. I did want to be remiss if I had you on here and not have you talk about the new flat rate a little bit. You talked a little bit, during our general discussion about menu pricing or that kind of stuff, but maybe people are unfamiliar. Why don't you talk about the new flat rate and where they can learn more about you?
You know, the most common thing, and again, people don't always like what I have to say, but in 2008, I can remember standing up in my office, throwing my hands in the air and saying, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. Service technicians don't sell, won't sell, can't sell, never will sell. And if you tell them they have to sell, they will quit. And I was right, because our industry now has about 20 times more contractors than it did then.
Mm-hmm.
They all quit mostly because of that. Now, does that mean no service technician can sell and upsell in the home? Because we spent hundreds of millions of dollars training them to sell, and no, they can't. The ones that can, okay, somebody who is a good technician, a good mechanic, yet can go in there and communicate and sell and upsell, that is not just a service technician. That is right brain, left brain, very intelligent person. And that's an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're on a career drive, and you can use them as long as you can. But hey, they will get tired of bringing all the money back to you, and they're gone. They'll go to your competitor, or they'll go get out of the industry, or they will be your competitor. And everybody out there knows it. And a lot of contractors today, they were that guy. So what menu pricing does is it goes back 50 years ago to where the guy's just a good craftsman. He's a good technician, born with a pipe wrench and a screwdriver in his hand. And all he wants to do is do a great job, be your friend, serve the customer, and never, ever want you to think that he's trying to scam you. And I was that guy, because when I was an electrician, I'd go, whether it was agriculture equipment or commercial or in a house. After I fixed it, when I got ready to push that button and start it up, I wanted somebody watching. Because before I ever touched the button, I wanted to be able to say, let me tell you what's going to happen. When I touch this, it's going to work. I love the craftsmanship part. That's what I lived for. Push that button. That's where I got the rush.
Flipping lights on the Christmas tree the first time, right? Here we get a grand presentation, right?
Yeah, back in the day, if you ever got him to light the first time. So knowing that, we created a different system. We had to have upfront pricing just to get paid. Flat rate never should have been called flat rate. It should have been called upfront. That's all. It was designed to not surprise the customer, go over the price ahead of time, and collect the money. That's all it is. It's just a price book. Anything else in flat rate, the technician has to do, whether he has to put packages together, bundles, discounts, service agreement, all of that stuff. All we did is we just made a menu. Now, when you drive into the car wash today, there's a menu. In my town, it's going to be like $12 to $28. Yep. You might take $12 today because you just want to push off some dirt. But maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe you're going to your child's graduation or going out on to a nice restaurant, and then maybe you'll take an $18 or a $28 wash. See, right. A menu lets you buy at your comfort level, when and wherever. So we do the same thing I talked about earlier. The bottom price has to be reasonable, and typically it'll be around what a normal flat rate price would be if it's for a repair. And then the top price is, what could I do if I applied all my talent, knowledge, wisdom, experience, and expertise? What if I really did it right so I never had to worry about it? Now, Kyle, a lot of contractors think their guys are really doing it right every time. No, they're not. They're putting it apart, checking it, and leaving it. So, okay, having said that, if the system warrants a replacement, what we do is we show the repair. If it needs to be, if it probably should be replaced, then the top repair is going to be pretty darn expensive, right?
Sure.
So when you show it to them, Mr. Customer, a little concerned, I've got some options. My top is the most premium. It's also the most permanent, and it allows me to do a great job and take my time and give you a better warranty. Okay. Well, to do that on an old equipment is going to be expensive. They see that number. We tell them exactly what we're going to do. We say, but if we did all that, it would be $3,860. Take a look, there's other options. Now, what are they going to say? Do they know how old their equipment is? You darn right they do. They're
Yep.
not idiots. And here's what they say. They say, you know, we probably need that top option. But this thing's got to be, I think it's 18, I think it's 16 years. It was here when we bought the place. How much is a new one? And then it's like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like, I never thought of that, you know, how much is a new one? Oh, well, I've got some options for that. Would you like to see them? Well, sure. Well, here, take a look at this. And by the way, it's the same thing. My top option is the most premium, and it's also the most permanent. And it's where I can really take my time and give you a better warranty. Now I show them that it might be 14,000. I don't care what it is. It might be 20, whatever it is. But where is that bottom one? So I'm going to show them 5 options. I don't care what it is. Service call on a capacitor, on a compressor, on a water heater. I don't care. The bottom option is going to be reasonable. The top option is going to, it's where we're all going to come out ahead. Now, remember on replacement equipment, whether it's a water heater or set, doesn't matter. The bottom option has to look reasonable. That's the one they're judging you on. So
Right.
if my bottom option is my most basic, nothing fancy, no big extended warranties, nothing, then the top option, that's my great one. That's got everything in it. But even if they take the bottom one, they say, you know, oh, can I just do that because, you know, money's tight? Sure, don't you worry. Are you sure? Because there's other options. No, I'm sure. Okay, I'll go ahead and write it up. Now I write it up, and now what can I say? By the way, did you want a 5-year warranty on that? For an extra $12.95? Did you want a 10-year warranty? I can, those the great Zig Ziglar called those nibbles. I can add some nibbles there and just see if they did have a little bit more money they wanted to replace. But I don't have to sell everything with a long extended warranty. And I'll tell you, today's consumer and where today's consumer is going, they can't afford all of that protection that you would like to slap on. You have to have something reasonable and never take the repair off the table. Because when they see the price of the new one, and if they say, I'd love to do that, but you know what? I can't. We've already refinanced our house. We've done this. I know I'll never pass here, but can I look at those repairs? If I did that $1,500 one, would that get me down the road? Yeah, that'd probably get you down the road a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
That's 100% close, Kyle. 100%. Because
No.
they got to have something, right?
No, I hear you, Roddy. No, that's good information. Really appreciate it. Again, thanks for taking the time. I always love having you on the podcast here. You bring a new and fresh perspective to things, Rodney. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.